Well, greetings. Welcome to this overview presentation of the University City Economic Development Strategy, Draft Strategies and Recommendations. My name is Stephen Ibendahl with the I5 Group. We've been the overall lead on this work. Joining me on this video is Beth Noonan and Jackie Wellington with Community and Economic Development Solutions, and they'll be speaking later on in this presentation. And again, we'll be moving through things fairly quickly with this. So if you have a chance to download this presentation from the investucity.com website. So again, you'll have more time to review this presentation in more detail. We'll start with what is an economic development strategy. University City is blessed to have, in many ways, many strong economic assets. But by having an overall strategy, it will help position the city toward a more resilient economy that will help create a vision to drive investment and growth in the city. And the plan covers many of the topics there you see on your screen to the right. In terms of schedule, we began the development of the strategy over the last winter. And like many things, we've been delayed with COVID, but we've been able to restart the process this summer and hope to complete the process later this fall, early winter. And again, even with COVID, we feel it's important to move forward and finalize the strategy. As University City recovers from the impacts of COVID, it'll be important to have a strategy in place to help guide that future investment and bounce back more quickly from the impacts of COVID-19. We'll be jumping right into the discussion and overview of the recommendations and strategies. If you would like more background on the process thus far, there are several documents to download under the investucity.com website. One is an overview brochure that talks a bit more about the overall process, answers common questions about the process. Two is the assessment and market analysis report that was issued in the spring. And as I've mentioned, today's presentation will be available to download. We've been working with a 12-person task force throughout the process. We were able to meet in person prior to COVID and have been meeting via Zoom since then. And the task force has been a sounding board for the planning team. They've been a great group to work with during this process. And they're representatives from across the city that have been chosen by the city council and mayor. We've also had the pleasure to meet with a lot of existing businesses and property owners in the city. Prior to COVID, we had a series of stakeholder meetings, and we had a chance then to talk with businesses about why they located their business in the city, what were the strengths of having their business here, and what challenges and needs do they see in the future. Going into a discussion of the draft recommendations and strategies, they're organized around 6 economic development principles. And that first principle is growing existing and emerging business sectors within the city.
So the basis and the focus of growing existing and emerging business sectors is to identify those industries that have a high enough concentration of employers and within the community that they serve as a sort of assets or strength upon which to build. So best practices in economic development call for identifying those industry sectors that do represent opportunities and building upon those. The first key sector is accommodations and food service. Accommodation and food service emerges as an industry cluster for University City because the significant number of restaurants in the community. We think that there's a lot of opportunity in terms of our recommendations for helping to support and expand those restaurants and the offerings. But at the same time, we think there is also a real opportunity to support accommodations, which complements the restaurants and the city's interest in tourism and attracting new visitors to the community. So supporting the Tri-Star Hotel within the Kingsland is what we identify as a significant opportunity here and recommendation we would recommend the city pursue. In terms of healthcare and social assistance, healthcare and social assistance are the businesses in this sector are among the city's largest employers and are the largest property taxpayers in the community. One of the key ways we think that the city can support businesses in this sector is to work with them to understand what their employment workforce needs are, and then to really focus on how they can interconnect training opportunities with the residents within the community to provide a pipeline of employees, I beg your pardon, for this particular sector. In addition, retail is another strength. The city is filled with a lot of unique specialty small businesses in the retail sector. These are the folks that were hardest hit by COVID, and so our recommendations really focus in large measure about helping them initially, at least, to really overcome the challenges through very targeted supports like seminars, information sharing about very key areas of challenge or difficulty at this point, with some longer term strategies for promoting the sector overall. Finally, next we have professional, scientific, and technical as a sector. While there are a range of businesses that are represented in this particular sector, one of the key exciting ones is the concentration of local tech businesses. They are among also the city's largest employers, and we think it's a real opportunity, particularly in light of the importance of technological solutions for growing the sector within the community. Our recommendations here center around not only growing this as in terms of the businesses, but also helping to existing employers in attracting and retaining new staff members for their businesses. Finally, manufacturing is somewhat more of a niche cluster, but because of the presence of Cunningham Industrial Park and the fact that there are a number of significant manufacturing concerns in the community, we think expanding efforts to expand Cunningham Industrial Park in cooperation with the City of Wellston is a key recommendation that the city should pursue.
Principle 2, ensure equitable economic opportunities is a principle that the city should focus on in order to make sure that all the residents growth in the area. Equitable growth typically refers to creating an economy that raises the living standards for all families. It can mean eliminating economic disparities by connecting residents to employment opportunities, supporting home ownership, and investing in the development and support of businesses owned by people of color. The Novus development has the opportunity to provide additional resources for investment into the Third Ward, particularly along the commercial areas on Olive and into those communities located north of Olive. Support for minority entrepreneurs is an effective way of being able to make sure that businesses participate in and benefit from any additional growth. Identifying and engaging with people of color and minority companies would be advantageous for the city. The city should also look at their business practices, their policies and procedures to make sure that none of the policies that they currently have in place create barriers for minority entrepreneurs to take advantage of opportunities of working with the community.
Principle 3, support university city businesses and workers, really falls into two buckets: business and talent retention and expansion, as well as supports and recommendations that center on growing small business and entrepreneurship. One of the key areas of business talent retention and expansion is engagement with local employers. And so some of our recommendations really focus on understanding their needs. And then developing interventions that help to support their growth and expansion. Additionally, there is the University City School District and others working within the community offer a real opportunity to leverage excellent workforce training that aligns with local employers' needs in order to create opportunities for residents and others. In addition to helping to retain existing businesses, we also think there should be an increased focus on supporting the international district and interfacing with the businesses within this district and understanding their special needs. The international district is a regional destination, as illustrated by this documentation of cell phone data that shows that the international district is attracting visitors to University City from across the entire region. In addition to the international district, we also should recognize that it's important that business owners and small business owners are supported through a local business association, as well as there's an opportunity to really create an ombudsman or city staff person that helps small businesses to grow and to help them to navigate their relationship with University City.
Principle 4 is collaborate with local and regional partners. Effective collaboration and communication with local economic drivers and regional organizations that promote the region will help to position University City to capitalize on the resources and programs that have a positive impact on the growth and development of the city. Washington University is a significant entity within University City. Its real estate holdings, the student body, the faculty staff population that actually lives and or patronizes the businesses in University City are significant users of the resources within University City. It would be important for the university and the city to work together to collaboratively develop a working relationship that could benefit both the university as well as University City. In addition to looking at the local partner like Washington University, the city also needs to look at the regional partners. There are other entities and organizations within the St. Louis region that can help to support some of the sectors that Beth has talked about, especially the tech sector and some of the other growing business concerns that are located within the city. Public entities would also be of value to develop strong relationships with them, especially as we look at making additional investments in the Olive Corridor. There are organizations that have resources and or instrumental in bringing resources into the community that can be of a significant value in those efforts.
Principle 5, celebrate and promote University City. Really is about marketing and branding the city in order to attract and engage a variety of constituencies, including businesses, site selectors, prospective residents, employees, as well as tourists. University City's new economic development website is a great foundation, and there is a lot of opportunity to utilize and leverage that website in order to expand the information available and to better target all of these different stakeholders that influence the long-term economic development and growth of the community. In addition to an example of what we think is an excellent example of a local website that really focuses on those broad constituencies and attracting a range of different folks to a community is Select O'Fallon, Missouri's economic development website. It includes a range of information that's relevant to both businesses as well as employees, residents, and site selectors. In addition to the website, we also think there's an opportunity to develop messaging and marketing around specific, around University City. Creating more business-friendly publications that communicate that University City is open for business, targeting the collegiate market, as well as really marketing distinct areas of the city and highlighting those areas and their key characteristics.
Beth mentioned marketing distinct areas of the city, and one way to achieve that is through the framework of districts. Even though University City has many wonderful residential and commercial streets, the city doesn't have traditionally named neighborhoods. So the use of districts is a way, especially around the commercial areas of the city, is a way to help better define those areas and help create distinct marketing areas for those various districts. And you see there on a map on the right in terms of what the plan proposes for those proposed districts. The districts are also a framework for the overall recommendations and strategies, especially targeting business sectors and various economic development strategies for various locations in the city. Many of the things that we've talked about aren't just citywide efforts. They should be targeted and refined for certain areas of the city. And then finally, the districts can also be a framework for investments in placemaking and infrastructure. So I mentioned targeting the business sectors in different areas of the city. And so this map you see, this chart you see on your screen now, is the various emerging and existing business sectors we talked about earlier in the presentation, and ideally where those should be targeted in different areas of the city. It doesn't necessarily preclude different businesses from certain areas, but it's a way to prioritize and target key sectors for different areas of the city and to build upon those synergies. The discussion of districts is a nice segue into principle number 6, utilize place-based solutions. We mentioned that in many ways, things should be targeted in different areas of the city. And there's 3 goals associated with this principle number 6. The first goal is an increased focus on Olive Boulevard. In the past, Olive has been treated in some ways as a one-size-fits-all approach, that the existing zoning along Olive is all general commercial. And for the future success of Olive, there really needs to be more distinct strategies along different sectors along Olive. And so the map to the right shows those proposed districts, and we'll quickly walk you through the recommendations and strategies for each. We'll start with on the left side and work our way west to east. So the Olive Gateway District is the area around Olive and Interstate 170. Here the focus should really be regional retail, taking advantage of the location near the intersection of Interstate 170. The International District there in the cyan color, already there is an existing strength of Asian and international themed restaurants and shops. And in moving forward, that should really be a continued a focus of Asian and international themed establishments in that area. Miller Park is one of the districts that has probably the largest combination of both commercial and residential areas, maybe more of a traditional neighborhood. It really focuses on the area between Miller Park to the north and University High School to the south, and really trying to connect the residential areas both north and south of Olive. Heman Park focuses around the city's largest park, Heman Park, and really strives to take advantage of that prime location. That a park can often be a draw for residential, and so here a key strategy is the conversion over time of some of the existing commercial north of Olive to residential. 2 advantages with that. One is, again, the park as a draw for residential, and then 2, that increased residential can make nearby commercial and retail more viable. And then finally, as we continue to the east, Cunningham Industrial, we mentioned the importance of manufacturing within the city. So really strengthening Cunningham Industrial and looking for ways, working with Wellston, to really increase that opportunity in that area. And finally, the Olive Innovation District. We talked about the growing tech sector in the loop, and over time, as that tech sector expands, looking for room for that expansion, that Olive Boulevard in that area, eastern area, has an opportunity to be that mix of office and even residential to really help spur that increased growth in the tech sector. To show a couple of examples with me what that future vision looks like in a couple of these districts. One is the Heman Park District. The sketch you see there is a existing view along Heman Park and the area north of the park. And then the second sketch shows what future residential could look like north of the park in terms of not only having residential, but streetscape improvements to help make Olive more walkable and increase that focus on residential. Just a quick note that the sketch is just a proposed, to show that proposed vision. This doesn't show any plan or proposed actual development at this location. And then again, along the Olive Innovation District, again, kind of what the existing area looks like now. There are some key vacant parcels in this area that could be an opportunity for new development. Again, a proposal of what development might look like in the future in terms of tech office space and mixed use with increased residential, and again, investments in placemaking with streetscape enhancements and plaza areas. And again, just a note that this is kind of a proposed vision for this area and not specific to any actual planned development for this area. And then we'll move on to keeping the Loop a top 10 street.
The Loop is an iconic entertainment and retail area within University City that attracts a lot of visitors into the community. Having been named one of the top 10 streets in the United States, it would be a value for the University City to do everything possible to maintain that designation, to continue to keep it as a significant attraction for folks coming into the community. If financially feasible, it would be a value for University City working with the Special Business District to retain a full-time staff person to serve as a liaison between the property owners and the tenants. In addition to those activities, we would look at the public realm and the public infrastructure that has been in place for the last 20 years in order to maintain the appearance of the area as a competitive area and an attractive area for people to come and visit. It needs to be revisited to see if maybe some enhancements would make it more attractive for folks coming and patronizing the businesses along that corridor. One of the issues that surfaced was the perception of crime within the Loop area. It would be essential and a value for University City to assemble data and disseminate it so that people have a true and accurate depiction of exactly what types of activities are occurring within the Loop area.
And then finally, goal number 3, implementation of citywide strategies. And here is really, again, kind of focusing back to the districts that we talked about earlier in terms of using those districts as a framework to tailor placemaking and infrastructure investments in certain areas of the city. We'll close our presentation with a brief discussion on priority development areas. It's been almost 15 years since the city's had a updated formal priority development area map. The last update was done as part of the 2005 comprehensive plan. And so the map there you see on the right are priority development locations within the city. All these locations are important, but the plan does talk about having 2 tiers of priority, a first tier and a second tier. There you see in the different colors, the light purple are areas that are actually, there are current proposals or plan proposals for development in those areas. The areas of the cyan, light blue color are areas that are recommended for priority development moving forward. So with that, that closes our overview presentation. Again, we encourage those who've watched this to download this presentation to review the draft recommendations and strategies in more detail. After you've had a chance to review those, we would love to hear your comments and input on those. And there's two ways to do that. Week of September 28th, there'll be small group meetings that you can sign up for via Zoom with the planning team if you have questions or like to share your comments via those small group meetings. You can also share your comments online via an online comment form. So the schedule of those meetings, registration, and the comment forms are all available at the investucity.com website. And then we'll take that input, and then your input and comments will help shape the draft economic document that will be released later this fall. So again, thank you for your time watching this presentation. Again, please stay up to date by following updates on the city's website and also updates on the investucity.com website.